Hello friends, you're with a Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm playing Falling Sky, a Gallic revolt against Caesar, by Andrew and Volko Runke. I guess that's his name. It sounds like a German name, but, well, Andrew doesn't, but Runke definitely does. I don't know if it's spelled Runkeek. And it's published by GMT Games. And that is the 6th part of the coin series. I've already did the first part, Andean Abyss, and the second one, Cuba Libre. And now we're going to see that one. Now, you might know that you can play that game from 1 to 4 players. And there are bots for the non-player factions, but I'm not going to use them. I'm going to play a 4-player game and basically do the best what I think for each side and just enjoy the game and see how it develops. So the game is set, and as you can see, we have here in the center we have the board. We have down here lots of charts that we already know from other games of the series. And then we have here player aids for the different factions. And as we can see, we have a surprise here. We have 5 factions, but the game is only for 4 players. So we have here the Germanic tribes, and these are basically neutral. They are in part controlled by the game, but they can be also controlled by other factions, and well, they can be kind of allied to other factions under specific circumstances or with specific actions. Now let's take a closer look at the different factions. Here we have the Roman Republic. The leader is Caesar. They have different pieces. This is also a little new here. We have these standard pieces, the auxiliaries. Also these one that we know as bases. Here they are called allied tribes. We have these one here. These are the force. And these one, also new, the legions. Cubes and these rectangular pieces are new in this game, at least compared to Andean Abyss and Cuba Libre. I haven't played the other 3 yet, so I don't know. They might also exist in there. Then we have the Arverni Confederation under the lead of Vercingetorix, this guy here. And they also have these pieces here. These are war bands. And they have also the allied tribes. At specific places, these cities here, different to these standard circled tribe spaces, we have these rectangular city spaces. That's where they can build citadels, also these rectangular pieces here. We have then the Belgic tribes. And by the way, we have also leader to these guys. We have here the bigger circled cylindric piece that represents Caesar. And this piece here represents Vercingetorix. The Belgic tribes here, the yellow faction, they come also with war bands, allied tribes. They also have a citadel that they can build, and this piece here represents Ambiorix, this guy here. And then finally we have the Aedui Confederation. This is another Gallic tribe, and they come also with warbands, allies, and citadels. They don't have a specific leader though. Now basically we can say that the Romans and the Aedui tend to work together in this game. There are a few mechanisms that give them advantages if they work together. And the Arverni and the Belgics, or the Belgae, they kind of build the counterpart, but especially they fight against Rome, not so much directly against the Aedui. Let's take a look at the victory conditions here. Now the Romans, they want the following condition to apply: the subdued plus the dispersed plus the Roman allied tribes exceeds 15. Okay, we've already seen these circled symbols here represent the tribes, and you can see here subdued is written there. So these are the subdued tribes. If that tribe is holds a Roman peace, like this one here, the Remi, then it's an allied tribe. And there can be also dispersed tribes. There are 4 dispersed markers. They look like this, and the Romans can use a specific action to disperse a tribe. So that will then be placed also on the map. And they want all these tribes, or the number of all these tribes, be greater than 15. Now at the moment they are actually already at 14. We can see here, especially in the west, there are quite a few of these subdued tribes. In here, down there, here, 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 here. Even in Germania, the allied tribe here, we have one down here. So at the moment there are 14 of these tribes. The Arverni, they want off-map legions exceed 6, and the Arverni allied tribes and citadels exceeds 8. So basically 2 victory conditions, and they have to apply together at the same time before they can reach a victory. At the moment, off-map legions, these are basically these legions here that are either in the Senate Legions box or in the Fallen Legions box. So right now we have here, back in Rome, 4 legions. So we can say, simply because of that victory condition, it's a goal of the Arverni that legions of the Romans get killed. Of course, it's not necessary that they kill them, but we might see that happen. In addition, right at the moment we have here Gergovia, Cenabum, and Alesia controlled, no, that's not true, Senones, the tribe of the Senones. These 3 allied tribes, altogether they have to exceed 8. So there is quite some work left here. The Belgic tribes. They want Belgic control plus Belgic allied tribes and citadels exceeds 15. Okay, so again we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there should be a 7 somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, actually there are 7 in this region here. These are the Belgic allied tribes. In addition, we see here in the different regions or provinces, we see these numbers, and they also indicate how many tribes there live in a region. And if they control the region, meaning that they have more pieces than everyone else together in that region, then they control a region. Then they get these points here for control. And yeah, if these control regions plus the Belgic allied tribes plus the citadels exceed 15, they win. And right now they are at 15. Finally, we have the Edoe Confederation, and the Edoe allied tribes and citadels exceeds each other factions, Gallic, Roman, and Germanic. So basically we simply count which faction has the most allied tribes at the moment, and citadels included, which is at the moment the Belgae. They have 7, so we mark that here. So we got 7 here. And if we had now 8, so basically everything, if we had 8 allies or citadels, then we would fulfill our winning condition. The Germans don't have a winning condition. It's a neutral tribe. They cannot win that game. Now, it's basically the same as in the other coin games. You don't win immediately if you fulfill your winning condition. There are, in this scenario, 4 so-called winter cards, semi-randomly mixed into the deck. And during winter, all kinds of different things happen. The first thing that happens is a victory check. So if, when a winter card shows up, someone fulfills its victory condition, then that person would win the game. If at the 4th winter card nobody fulfills the victory condition, then we check how they actually do relatively to this condition, and then the player who is doing best will win the game. What I really like about these coin games is that there is a lot of historical information that comes with them, also to these event cards, and I think it adds a lot to the flavor, and it's kind of interesting. So anytime an event is triggered, I'm gonna read this historical information, and I'm going to also read now the starting situation. Here we have the Reconquest of Go, which is the main scenario. We have 3 scenarios. Pax Gallica, which is even longer than the scenario we're playing right now. and an introductional scenario, the Great Revolt, but we're going to play the standard scenario here. So it's 53 BC, midwinter. Belgic warbands have suddenly massed around the legion's dispersed winter garrisons, while defection from Roman rule stirs in Celtica. Can Caesar and the Aedui get north to beat back Ambiorix before Vercingetorix unifies the Celts in resistance? This main scenario begins with the Belgae having sprung a trap and close to victory. To the south, Vercingetorix is on the scene but has yet to rally the tribes he needs to challenge Caesar. While Rome's position appears strong in subdued tribes, the Arverni are about to undo that. The Romans must balance the Belgic emergency with prunning the budding Arverni rebellion, while their Aedui friends weigh how much and how long to help them do so. Okay. So although most of you probably know the basic mechanics of the coin series, I still want to give a short introduction. The core of the game is basically here, this sequence of play. Now each turn one of these event cards is played, and we have here on the left the eligible factions. At the beginning of the game there are 4, usually there will be less. Now depending on the card, we'll see which are the first and second, third and finally the fourth factions that could be eligible. But only the first 2 can actually do something in the game or in this turn, except one of them would pass, then the next one would be eligible and allowed to do something, and so on. So right here now, the Romans, because they are on the left, could be the first faction who do an action. The second one, the second eligible, would be the Belgae, and only if one of these 2 pass, the Aedui would have the opportunity to do something. And the first faction has now the choice between 3 different options. We can see these here. And depending on this choice, the second faction can do also some kind of actions. So if the first faction does a command which has basically nothing to do with the card, with the text on the card, each faction has a number of commands, 4 commands basically, and most of them are different. At least the Romans have different commands than the Gauls have, and the commands of the Gauls are basically kind of similar. So if the faction does a command with no special ability, because also every faction has special abilities they can use, and they are actually different for everyone. So if the first faction does a command with no special ability, then the second faction can do a so-called limited command, which means they can simply also do a command, but only in a specific region, in one single region. Usually you can do commands in as many regions as you want. If the first faction chooses to do a command and a special ability, then the second faction has the option to do either a limited command, so the same as before, or an event, which means they can trigger the event that the card shows. If the first faction chooses to do an event, then the second faction can do a command, and that may also include a special ability. Now, not every command can come with every special ability. There are restrictions here. For example, you can see that here the recruit command can come with the build or scout special ability, but not with that besiege ability. On the other hand, the battle command can come with a scout or besiege ability, but not with a build ability. The events, they're usually two events here. Not always. Some cards only show one event that both players can choose, but most of the cards have a dual use, and usually one of them is good for the Romans and sometimes also for the Aedui, and the other event is usually good for the enemies of Rome. Okay, so I guess we can start here, and I've checked already the situation at the beginning, and Rome is right away facing a tough decision here. We can see here from the first card that, well, the event of the card says place 4 auxilia in a region with Romans or 6 with Caesar, or, for the other side, roll a die and remove either 3 or that number of auxilia from anywhere. Well, I think that is that's kind of interesting, but it's not too spectacular. The thing is, they can here activate first, and then if they would not do the the event or whatever, the Belgic would be next. I mean, they would be second eligible. And there's now the problem that the Belgic here in the north, they can fight the Romans pretty badly, because usually the Romans, especially the legions, are very strong in battle. They are much stronger than the other guys, than the Gauls. But if the Belgae are hidden, and that is the case as long as they are not flipped to the other side, they can use their special ability, which is ambush. And if that happens, they become much stronger as they usually are. I think they can only do this if Ambiorix is within one region. And that is in all these regions the case, because Ambiorix is sitting here and all the other regions are adjacent here. So they can actually do a battle in every of these regions and do an ambush against the Romans. That could end up in really bad losses for the Romans. Now, the problem for the Romans is now, if they do something, because they are first, they could try to do something to avoid that attack. They could, for example, move with Caesar and a few more troops to the north. They could do a scouting operation, which would then allow the Romans to reveal these auxilia, which would make an ambush, or these warbands, which would make an ambush impossible for the Belgae. So that is definitely something the Romans would love to do. But here's the problem. The next card, and we always see the actual card and the next card. And the next card would be the Balearic Slingers. And that card is a capability. What that means is these capabilities stay or take effect for the rest of the game. For the Romans, it says Romans choose one region per enemy battle command. Auxilia there first inflict half loss each on attacker, then resolve battle. So that basically means that their auxilia are much more effective than they usually would be. The other thing would be, if the goals could choose that, recruit only where supply line, paying 2 resources per region. That would be a massive restriction to the Roman recruitment abilities. Because, well, usually they don't have to pay if they recruit on a supply line. In this case, it would be 2 resources per region. And in addition, they can only recruit in a supply line. Otherwise, it would be basically everywhere possible where there is no devastation. So we can see this is a tough choice. Do we want to face that attack, or do we want to use these Balearic slingers to our advantage? Or especially avoid the disadvantage of these? And right away, I cannot make that decision. I find that very hard to do. I'm going to roll a die here. This is one of the things where I say, okay, depends a little bit on the player. Personally, I really don't know. I mean, it seems both very valuable. So in this case, on a 1 to 3, Caesar will march north. And that is the case. So, let's do a march option here. And I'm going to use, especially at the beginning, these player 8s. Once I get more accustomed to the game, it might not be necessary anymore. Okay, so we can move and hide Roman forces in regions with legions, auxilia, or a Roman leader. It costs 2 resources per origin region, or 4 resources if the region is devastated, which is not the case now. Okay, I can move up to 2 adjacent legions, 3 with Caesar. I have to stop at devastated, or at the Rhine, or if I want to move into Britannia. The goals may cause losses if I move through a region where they are, and the Germans definitely will. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to take legions and auxilia from Provincia, and I'm going to pay $2. So here on this track, I'm going to track my resources, and I want to move 3 spaces. So I'm going to move here through this province, which is, I don't know, the Sequani, Treveri, and then end up here at Atrebates. So I think right now this is the biggest problem. So I'm going to take probably more or less everything I got. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to move all these guys with Caesar. They enter here. They also here with my legions. I'm going to leave 2 legions behind to protect Provincia. And that's pretty much it then. Now, the Gauls can do damage to my troops, and they can harass. Let me see. Remove 1 auxilia per 3 hidden warbands. But only if I move through a region. So I'm pretty sure it does. I'm not sure if it also applies to the target region. Okay, it only applies if I move through a region. So in this case, I have to remove one of these guys because there are 4 hidden Belgae there. And he goes back there. Now, in addition to this, I can use now my scout option. This can be accompanied by scout. And I can use any regions with auxilia. Move any auxilia to adjacent regions within one region of Caesar or with his successor. Flip hidden auxilia to reveal as desired, to reveal and place scouted marker on up to 2 warbands each in the same region. Okay. So that means now I can basically reveal these guys and in this way reveal all these. If I reveal 2, I can reveal 4 of the others. And that means that an ambush will no longer be possible here. I'm going to do the same basically in all the other regions, and maybe with a few guys here, move even down here to reveal a few of these Arverni warbands. So now the Belgae, after Caesar did a faction command and a special ability, or did a command and a special ability, the Belgae have the option to do an event here, which would allow them to roll a die and remove either 3 or that number of auxilia from anywhere, or they could do a limited command, which would allow them to do a command in a single region. Now the threat is that the Romans will attack in the next turn, and that the Belgae will then lose most of their forces here, because the Romans are very strong. They have legions in most areas, and they outnumber the Belgae also in 2 of these areas, so it's not looking really good for them. They could remove, for example, here in the Morini, they could remove maybe a few auxilia, 3 or 4, and then they would definitely outnumber the Romans here. But in the end, I don't have a very good feeling about that. It seems to me like the following battle would be a massive blowback for the Belgae. So my idea is actually I think I want to pass here. That gives me a resource, and then during the next card, I would be actually the first eligible faction, because the Romans are then non-eligible, because their stone will move here to the ineligible factions after that turn. And then I could use my full action, this would not be then a limited action, but then I could do a full action or a full command and, for example, march and concentrate all my forces maybe on a single space or on two spaces, so that I have better odds when being attacked. And that's the plan I'm following here. So that means now that after the Belgic passed, the Arverni is the second eligible faction, and they can now also do either an event or a limited command. So for them, the event is also not that interesting, simply because they don't have such an interest that to remove any auxilia from the Romans, and they also don't want to place auxilia for the Romans, so they might consider going for a limited command here. Okay, the options for the Arverni are also not too impressive with just a limited command. Still, they're gonna march here from, I'm not actually sure what the name of the province is. I think this one indicates basically the tribes that live there. These are the names of the big cities. So I guess the provinces themselves don't really have a name here. So I say they're gonna march from there, from the Arverni home area or whatever. They're gonna pay 1 here, and they're gonna march into adjacent areas, 1 here into the area of the Sequani, and another one here into the Mandubii area, and that gives them now control over these 2 areas, which will allow them during a later action maybe to gain some allied tribes there, which is their victory goal. So that was now the action of the Arverni. Now these 2 markers move here to the ineligible factions, and that's the end of the turn basically. These 2 markers, or these 2 factions, are now the only eligible factions for the next turn. And then at the end of their next turn, when these markers end up here, these 2 markers are moved back and become the new eligible factions. Okay, so now let's see what the next turn brings. So I follow the plan for the Belgic, and they're gonna march. And so I'm going to use these small pawns just to remember what exactly I'm doing here. And I wonder where I actually want to go. So I think I want to focus on maybe 2 regions. Yeah. Hard to tell. I don't want to fight Caesar. Caesar is very strong. So I guess I'm going to move from here. Oops. And then I'm going to use my N-list ability. And that says, in regions within 1 of Germania, or with Germanic pieces, and within 1 region of Ambiorix, or with his successor. So that means here, either treat Germanic warbinds there as Belgic for this command. So therefore, I can also simply now take these warbands here and move them, for example, in this area. I can treat them as Belgic. And this is Empirics, so they are within one area. So I'm going to pay 2, move with these guys here, and then after I move I could reveal them. But because they have that scouted marker, I cannot exactly reveal them, but I can only remove the scouted marker. And I can move with these guys here. Now actually, I think what I want to do is, I want to spend 2 more bucks to also march here and there, because then I'm also allowed to remove these scouted markers here of these guys. Of course, I could also march here and remove them, but then it becomes really expensive after a while, so I don't know if I really want to do that. And now the Arverni are going to activate that capability here. Reliance on foreign contingents. Recruit only where supply line, paying 2 resources per region. So we're going to place that now here and place a shaded marker here that indicates that this part of the card takes effect. And let's see a little bit about the historical background here. In addition to Cisalpine auxiliaries, the heavy infantry-dominated Roman army brought with it into Gaul specialist troops from across the empire: North African light foot and horse, Spanish cavalry, Cretan archers, and the famed slingers of the Mediterranean islands of Majorca and Minorca. Locally raised auxilia comprised chiefly Gallic and Germanic cavalry. The army's most important missile troops seem to have been these contingents from abroad. Well, it's going to be harder now for the Romans to get them. And now, as mentioned, these ineligible factions move here back to the eligible factions box, and these 2 move here to the ineligible factions. And this is the basic concept of the game, this circulation between eligible factions and ineligible factions here. So then it's the Romans here as the first eligible faction, and they want to battle. Now let's see what they want to do in addition to this. They could scout or besiege. Maybe scouting would be an option. Yeah, I guess that's... Okay, so first they want to... Yeah, I'm not sure actually what they want to do. Okay, I think... Damn it. They want to scout before they battle. So... 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they could move a few more guys over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, it would not be enough to destroy everyone. Still, damn it. Not absolutely sure what I want to do now. Yeah, okay, I think I want to scout first. So I'm gonna flip these guys here and reveal the Germans, and also place a scout marker on them, or a scouted marker. And this is a little fiddly. Okay, and then we're gonna battle. And by the way, we have to pay now let me see, I want to battle here. Basically I want to battle everywhere, so I gotta pay $4. No, that's not true, I gotta pay 8. So that brings me down to 10, which is a lot. 2 resources per region, yeah, okay. And, well, the battle is not as simple as in the other games. You can see here we have this flow chart, or these flow charts. And it's actually a little ridiculous. I'm not even sure if the flow charts are not maybe more complex than this text here, but let's follow the flowcharts for now. So let's say we do the battle in here, right, at the Morini's region. First, we got to select a target, one faction to defend. Of course, it's going to be the Belgic. Then the Belgic can declare a retreat if they want to, which would halve their losses. Now, I don't think I want to do that. Maybe it's a stupid idea, but I don't want to retreat. Okay, so if I do not retreat, we follow this path here, and then it's, has the defender a citadel or fort? No. So then we take the normal losses. The allies, the forts, and the citadel last. Okay, that means the normal losses, so now we go down here. We're not defending versus Caesar or Arverni. So enemies' legions do 1 damage and the warbands do half a damage. What? And already I'm a little confused. Plus the enemy leader 1 damage and auxilia half a damage. Okay. Strange, but okay. So that means basically that the legions will do 1 damage, so I gotta remove 1. And these, the auxilia will do half a damage each, so 2 more are removed here. They go back in the pool. Okay. The allies are removed last, and that's what we did. They're still here on the board. Then we can see if it was an ambush or a Germanic attack. That was not the case. So now we go here, and that means we see a counterattack. The attacker takes now the normal losses. Again, allies, forts, and citadel last. So we follow again this stuff here. And now we have 4 warbands, so we can do 2 losses. And here, the Romans could now decide. They can say, I let the legions do the fighting, and they will only be destroyed on a 6-sided die on a 1 to 3. If I roll a 4 or 6, there is no effect. And I could say that again and again. So with only 1 legion, I could, in theory, defend, I don't know, 6 losses or something, if I'm lucky, and always roll a 4 to 6 for every loss. But that is a risky thing, because it's not that easy to get the legions back into the game. And remember, the Arverni win, or one winning condition for the Arverni is off-map legions. So I absolutely don't want to lose my legions. Therefore, I'm actually willing to take a few auxiliaries here as losses. Okay, and then we come to the next area, which is this one here. And now, and by the way, actually, I think at the end of the game, at the end of the fight, all attacking and defending survivors flip to revealed. So that means these guys are now also revealed. Here, we will also attack these guys to each 1 damage, but the interesting part is we have now here Ambiorix. But they are the defenders, not the attacker. So for now, these guys will do 1 damage, and these guys will altogether also do 1 damage. So that means we have 3 damage. And it's an interesting question. Can I choose now the Germans as the defender or not? I think not. Actually, I'm pretty sure that the Romans decide whom they're gonna attack. And they obviously will attack the Belgae, and therefore we cannot choose the Romans to take the hits. So we might actually consider a retreat here, because we will definitely take some bad hits. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I think I want to retreat. So, let's see. We come now to the attack here because we did a retreat, so it goes down here. Defender takes half losses, and I think this is rounded up. So, in this case, the allies, the forts, and the citadels are removed first. Because I run away, that means the non-mobile units take the first losses. We lose 3, so these guys go away, which is a shame, but okay. And then I lose 1 more unit, let's say that one. And I can only retreat into a controlled area, and that area must allow me to retreat into it. So the Romans will not allow me to retreat there. The Germans also don't allow that. They never allow that. But I control, luckily, still this area, so I can retreat in here. And there we are. Okay. Are the Romans attacking goals? Yes. Okay. The defender opts for hidden warbands and or leader to stay. Nope. Yes. Okay. So I think we are not necessarily revealed in this case, but wait a second. It says step 4, step 5. Damn it. Yeah, but I think that step is skipped in this case. But there are no unrevealed units anyway. So that is then the end of that battle, and now the Romans also control this area. And then we see a battle here. And okay, in this case, I take 2 losses here because the Legion and 3 auxiliaries attack, so 2 losses. And now we finally have the option to do a counterattack. So that means we can do one. The Romans will take 1 loss, but they have a fortress here that might modify that. Let's see. Not sure about that. Own shows peace. I got it. Yeah, defender, fort, citadel, or retreat, half this sum. Exactly. So that means I won't do any damage here. I'm not absolutely I think I haven't removed anything. Did I? No, I think I didn't. So, yeah, that's fine. I don't do any damage here. But these guys... No, they might not be revealed simply because I think I don't have to attack with everyone. I mean, if I did only 2 hits, that should be good enough. I can leave this guy unrevealed. I'm not absolutely positive about that, but it makes sense to me. Okay. That was... Oh no, and then finally in this area here, the Romans control that. There is no way to retreat for the others because these are immobile pieces, these allies, so they are simply destroyed or subdued now. And that means that at this point the Belgic revolt is pretty much under control. They have only 2, 3, 4 points left from their, I don't know what they started with, 14 or something. So, and the Romans have 1, 2 additional subdued tribes. So right now I think, yeah, they are in victory range. Okay, and then that was their command, and now it's the Edui. So the Edui can also only do a limited command or the event. The event is not interesting for them, so the limited command is another rally action, and they are gonna gain another allied tribe. Here in Alesia, they're going to take that city, which would allow them later to build a citadel there, which is pretty strong. Okay. So these become now eligible, these ineligible. And at that point I'm going to load this up. We definitely got to speed up. We only went through 3 turns or something. But I wanted to go into detail because the battles and all the commands and how it works, it's a little difficult if you haven't done that before. It's looking much better now for the Romans. It's going to be interesting how they can live with this penalty, the reliance of foreign contingents. But at the moment, they fulfill their victory conditions. But the Edui are also doing good, because the Belgae have lost all their allied tribes, or lots of them. That means if they gain 1 more allied tribes, they actually have the most. But yeah, of course, there are other players who will try to prevent that. Okay, hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.